Right now, you are probably using money without thinking about it. You tap a card, you scan a phone, you hand over a few pieces of paper and get food, clothes, or something you absolutely did not need, and everyone accepts it. But here is the strange part. That paper has almost no useful value by itself. You cannot eat it. You cannot build a house with it. And yet, people will work for hours just to get more of it. So how did humans go from trading food and tools to carrying around pieces of paper that basically say, "Trust me"? The answer starts long before banks, coins, or even governments, and it is stranger than you might expect. At first, humans did not really need money. Imagine two people in a small ancient community. One has extra fish, the other has extra berries. They can simply trade. Fish for berries. Easy. But now imagine you have fish, and you want a stone tool. The toolmaker does not want fish. He wants hides. And the person with hides does not want fish either. Suddenly, your simple trade becomes a problem. You need to find the person who wants exactly what you have, while also having exactly what you want. Economists call this the problem of the double coincidence of wants. Humans had basically invented the world's first shopping inconvenience, and there was no customer service desk. So people started looking for something everyone would accept. That changed everything. Different societies experimented with different things: shells, salt, beads, cattle, grain, metal, even giant stone objects were used as forms of money in some places. The important part was not that these objects were magical, it was that people agreed they were valuable, and that agreement was powerful. Imagine a village where everyone knows that one particular shell is worth several baskets of grain. You can accept the shell today because you know someone else will accept it tomorrow. Now the shell is no longer just a shell. It is a portable promise. But there was still a problem. Some things were terrible as money. A cow is valuable. But try carrying 10 cows into a marketplace. You would quickly discover that money can have a transportation problem. And cattle are not exactly known for cooperating with accounting. So humans looked for something that was durable, divisible, portable, and difficult to fake. Metal was a very good candidate. Gold, silver, copper, and other metals could be shaped into standardized pieces. And eventually governments began stamping marks onto them. That tiny mark solved a huge problem. You no longer had to personally test every piece of metal. The stamp told you who guaranteed its weight and value. This was one of the biggest transformations in the history of trade. A piece of metal became a standardized unit of trust. And once humans had that idea, money could spread much faster. But here is where things get really interesting. Money was not only created to buy things, it also solved a problem involving time. Suppose you are a farmer. You harvest a huge amount of grain in autumn, but you need tools in spring. You cannot hand someone 300 kilograms of grain and say, "Please keep this until April." Money lets value move through time. You can sell your grain now, keep the value in another form, and use it later. That sounds simple, but it changed human society. Because once value could be stored and transferred, people could save. They could plan. They could borrow. They could lend. They could make deals with strangers. And they could build systems much larger than a single village. Then came another major leap: writing. This might sound unrelated to money. It was not. As societies became larger, remembering who owed what became difficult. So people began recording debts, payments, taxes, shipments, and ownership. Some of the earliest writing systems were heavily connected to accounting. In other words, civilization did not just need stories, it needed bookkeeping. Imagine thousands of containers of grain moving through a city. Who owns them? Who paid for them? Who owes what? Suddenly, a clay tablet becomes incredibly important. Money and writing grew together because large societies needed a way to keep track of promises. But money had another superpower. It could create trust between strangers. You do not personally know the farmer who grew your food. You do not know the person who made the machine that processed it. You probably do not know the person who transported it. And yet, millions of strangers can cooperate every day. Why? Because money provides a shared system for exchanging value. You give something, you receive something, and both sides can walk away believing the exchange was fair enough. At least, that is the theory. Because money itself is basically a giant social agreement. And that explains something important. The real value of money does not come from the paper. It comes from belief. If everyone suddenly decided that a banknote meant nothing, that banknote would become a very expensive piece of trash. That sounds absurd, until you realize that almost everything about modern money depends on confidence. Banks, currencies, credit, digital payments, even the number you see in your bank account. Most of it is not physical cash sitting in a giant underground room with your name on it. A huge amount of modern money exists as numbers inside financial systems. You tap your phone, a number changes, and somehow dinner is yours. No coins, no goats, no wagon full of wheat, just information moving between systems. Humans have taken the ancient idea of this represents value and pushed it to almost unbelievable levels. And here is what makes this even more interesting. Money did not only change how humans traded, it changed what humans wanted. Once wealth could be measured, stored, compared, inherited, taxed, and displayed, people could start competing over it. A bigger house, more land, more gold, more coins, more numbers. Money became connected to power, status, security, freedom, and sometimes fear. The strange thing is that your brain can react to a number in a bank account almost like it is a physical possession. You can feel richer when the number rises. You can feel threatened when it falls, even though there may be nothing physical to hold. So when you look at a modern banknote, you are not really looking at the invention of money. You are looking at thousands of years of humans solving the same basic problem again and again. How do we turn trust into something portable? First came things everyone wanted, then standardized objects, then coins, then paper, then banks, then digital numbers. The form kept changing. The underlying idea did not. Money works because humans collectively agree that it works. And that may be the strangest invention of all. You can hold money in your hand, but what you are really holding is a piece of shared human belief. And tomorrow morning, when you tap your card to buy coffee, remember what is actually happening. You are participating in an invention that began with humans trying to answer one very simple question. How do I convince another person that what I have is worth what they have? Thousands of years later, we are still solving the same problem. We just do it with smartphones now.